Greetings to all my tech heads out there in the KevTechify nation, and if you're new here, welcome. In this episode, we're going to look at how to modify access control lists. We'll be discussing two methods to modify your access control list, the text editor method, the sequence number method. This episode is part of my series on network security. I'm Kevin here at KevTechify. Let's get this adventure started. After an ACL is configured, it may be modified. ACLs with multiple access control entry, ACEs, can be complex to configure. If you got a lot of entries, and sometimes I've seen access control lists that have 20 or 30 or even 40 access control entries, each little line in that access control list. Sometimes the configured access control entry does not yield what you're hoping it to do. For these reasons, ACLs may initially require a bit of trial and error to achieve the desired filtering result. Now, there are two methods here you can use when modifying an ACL. One is to use a text editor, and the other is to use sequence numbers. Access control lists with multiple access control entries, ACEs, should be created in a text editor. This allows you to plan the required access control entries and create that ACL. Once you get that ACL created in that text editor, you can paste it into the router interface. This simplifies the task here to edit and fix an access control list. To modify an ACL using a text editor, first thing you need to do is copy the ACL from the running config. Go into your router interface, your PuTTY, your tear term window, copy it, and then you paste it into a text editor. Yep, here we're talking Notepad. I'd stay away from WordPad because there's some weird formatting that happens. Notepad, Notepad++ is another great tool to use. Once you've got it pasted in there, you can make the necessary edit changes. So whatever changes you need to have or you want to have to that access control list, you can go and you can make that in there. You can even reorder them. You can take out access control entries, make all the changes you want. The third step here is remove the previous configured access control list. On the router here, what you have to do is you have to go in there and remove it. If you don't, when you paste in that edited access control list, those commands, what it's going to do is it's going to append it. It's going to add it at the end. So you're going to have a whole lot of extra commands in there. So yeah, if you don't remove it, it's just going to append it at the end. Once you have it removed, then you can copy and paste it back into the router. In ACL ACE, an access control list, access control entry can also be deleted or added using the ACL sequence numbers. Sequence numbers are automatically assigned when that ACE is entered. These numbers are listed in the show access list command. The show running config command doesn't display these sequence numbers. Use the IP access list standard command to edit an access control list. Statements cannot be overwritten using the same sequence number. What you need to do is delete that sequence number that you want to change, and then you can go ahead and create it. You can add in access control entries here by using sequence numbers. And then once you're done, you verify the changes. Here in this example, we have an IP access list, a standard one, numbered 1. And we have, currently there's a sequence number 10 in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to delete it. So we say no and then 10. We want to replace it. Once again, we're in the configuring a standard ACL. So we start off with the sequence, and then we put what our ACE entry should be. Once we put that back in here, we can go ahead and type N. We do the show access list. Now, once again, show running will not give you the sequence numbers, only show access list will. It'll list out our our ACL, and then it'll list out all the ACEs with it. And right here is our newly updated access control entry at sequence 10 that we entered. So these have been entered like that. It was my pleasure to provide you with this wonderful episode on modifying access control lists. If you like this episode and you got value out of it, and of course, depending upon the platform you're using, please click that like button, give a 5-star rating, leave a comment. This all helps me bring you more great content. Please take a minute to subscribe to my channel. All my socials and contact information are on my website, KevTechify.com. You can get all of these episodes in video and podcast form. In the upper right is my playlist for my series on network security. In the bottom right is one of my favorite videos that I picked just for you. Thank you so much for watching this episode of my series on network security. Once again, I'm Kevin. This is KevTechify. I'll see you next time for another great adventure.